Hi, this is Megan from Project Rise, and today I'm just going to review 3 poses to release and lengthen muscles in the lower back to help alleviate back pain. This is as short as a 5-minute series, but it can also be lengthened, taking more time and more breath in each of the poses if you find that kind of staying a little bit longer affords your body the time and space it needs to relax and let go, resulting in less pain and discomfort. That's obviously our goal. The first pose we're going to visit is easy resting pose. It's pretty straightforward. What you're going to do is, I'm on a yoga mat. You could just do this on your bedroom floor. You do want something firm to lay down on. You're going to put your feet flat on the ground and lay back onto your back. Tuck your shoulder blades up underneath you, palms face up slightly away from your body. And then there's a natural curve in the lumbar spine right here. So what we want to do is lift the hips slightly, take the tailbone towards the ceiling, and lay your lower back gently on the ground. From here, take your feet just a little bit wider than hip width distance apart and let your knees rest in on each other. From another angle, the pose looks like this. So my feet are a little bit wider than my hips. My knees are going to rest in on each other. If this feels like compression in your hip flexors or the front of your hips, you can also take a pillow, fold a blanket, and let that kind of hold the space between your knees so that there should be no muscles in your hips or lower belly working in this posture. From here, we're going to focus on just breathing deeply into the belly and exhaling completely, and with every breath out, try to relax a little bit further into the floor. Again, from this angle, it'll look like this. If you choose to not let your hands rest slightly away from your body, palms face up, you can bring your right hand to your belly and your left hand to your heart. Continuing to breathe deeply, lift your belly hand as you inhale, and feel your heartbeat as you exhale. Take at least 10 deep, slow breaths here in this pose, and with every successive exhale, think about relaxing a little bit more heavily into the floor. Let the floor and ground support the weight of your hips, the weight of your spine, shoulder blades. And once you've relaxed into the ground, giving your weight to the mat beneath you, think about softening the muscles between your belly button and your pubic bone. So the muscles and organs in your lower abdomen are going to kind of start to sink into the bowl of your pelvis. There's not necessarily anything that you'll feel release or lengthen. But by taking your attention to this lower abdomen area, you're also going to send more oxygenated blood to that area, allowing the muscles the resources that they need to lengthen, to stretch, to release, and let go. And really the work of this pose is just to be and to relax, to be as heavy as possible. Staying committed to a really full, steady inhale and exhale. And the longer you stay here, the more likely your mind is to wander. That's just kind of how our minds work. So every time you feel your brain start to shift its focus, doesn't mean you're doing it wrong, but bring your attention back to your breathing. Feel your belly hand rise as you inhale. Feel for your heartbeat with your left hand as you exhale. Shifting your focus to those 2 natural rhythms and letting that gentle, effortless rhythm of your body's natural functions kind of calm your nervous system. And you've sat here for about 30 breaths, for 3 to 5 minutes. To come out of this, you want to maintain the length of the muscles we just spent time relaxing. So you're going to heel toe your feet together, roll onto your right side, Leave your head heavy, but when you are ready to sit up, you're going to use the strength of your hands to press into the ground so as not to overactivate the muscles in the low back that we just lengthened and stretched. The second release can be done in two ways. Pigeon pose is really common, or something that people are often familiar with. More gentle or restorative variation of that same pose is figure four. I'm going to show figure four today because again, we're protecting and taking care of the low back. I don't want any kind of compression, tension, or tightness to be displaced into those muscles. And so what you're going to do, again, reclining onto your back, is take the ankle of your left foot to the top of your right knee. And this might look like different things given the mobility in your left hip. And so for starters, what you're going to do is just try to relax this left femur bone away from your body. Think about softening the muscles in and around your left hip. If it's helpful, you can very gently bring this left palm to the middle of your femur bone and press open. This might already be enough of a stretch for you, so if that's the case, you decide to stay here. Breathe fully and slowly for 10 breaths. If after those 10 breaths, or at some point before you reach that threshold, you decide you can and want a little bit more sensation. Again, we're working with muscles that are already overactive, so we don't want to stun or stress them by putting too much work or stretch into them too quickly. So this is very much kind of your tuning into what your body needs, what your body wants, and meeting it where it's at. But if you do decide you want a little bit more, you will hug this whole figure four into your chest, lifting that right foot up off the floor. And from here, you interlace your fingers, reach through the figure four, interlace your fingers behind your right thigh, and gently hug the figure four into your chest. What happens naturally, as you can see, is my tailbone starts to curl to the ceiling. So what I want to do as I breathe out is think about lengthening my tailbone back towards the floor. It may or may not move at all in space, but just by setting attention to that area, to lengthening those muscles, let the back of my pelvis and my lower vertebrae kind of relax into the floor, invites those muscles to lengthen and to stretch. Here I'm also using my left elbow to gently press into the middle of my femur. Again, you don't want to put pressure at any point directly onto the knee joint. If you're going to gently press this figure four away from you, bend your left elbow, pressing your elbow into the middle of your thigh bone. Continue to breathe deeply here for another 10 breaths before releasing the clasp of your hands, lowering your foot to the floor. And then again, so as to not activate the muscles we've just released and lengthened, use your hands to uncross your legs and take both feet back to the floor. It can feel nice to windshield wipe your knees back and forth here. Or not. And then you'll return to the starting position, both knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and continue the same series on the second side, this time bringing the right ankle to the top of the left thigh. Make sure this foot stays flexed and allow for a variation in sensation, in mobility, tension, tightness between the two hips. They are the same joint, but there is totally common, totally normal for the right and left sides to be totally different from each other, to feel differently, to be more mobile, to be more less mobile. And so again, just kind of meet yourself where you're at today and tune in and make sure what you're doing is right and productive and safe for your body. And then the final pose that we're going to visit is legs up a wall. And so for this, you'll obviously need a wall. I'm just going to use this bookcase. And the intent here is again to lengthen the hamstrings. Some people, if you have really tight hamstrings, you'll feel this in your hamstrings first. The other intention, if your hamstrings are not super tight, is to just relax your lower back into the floor. So you're going to, I like to come alongside of the wall or the bookcase that I'm going to use, and with one shoulder right up against the wall, then pivot so that my hips stay really close and I can set my feet onto the wall. From here, if my hamstrings are screaming at me, they're angry, and it doesn't feel good, I'm going to bend my knees slightly and let the wall support the weight of my legs. And then again, turn back to turn my attention back to my lower abdomen, try to relax my pelvis into the floor, doing with whatever with my hands, as long as it feels good and I'm not creating or building tension anywhere. You can hang out here. It also sometimes feels nice to bend your knees a lot, take your knees wide, and press the soles of your feet into the floor, which then tilts your tailbone towards the base of the wall. And this too is a nice low back release for some people. If this doesn't feel good, don't do it. You can rest for as much as 10 minutes with your legs up the wall. This is also a cooling, restorative pose. It's great to do before bed, as it relaxes your nervous system and aids your heart in circulating blood. Let the work of breathing deeply, evenly in and out continues here. And then of course it is important, again, to not activate the muscles we've just lengthened and relaxed. So when you're ready, you're just gonna roll to your side. Let your hips and shoulders stay stacked, and then use the strength of your arms to press your chest up. Coming to all fours from here, and very slowly, very gently, with small ranges of motion at first, activating the muscles that run up and down your back. So we're gonna do 3 rounds of cat-cow. To do this, I'm gonna position my knees directly underneath my hips, and my hands underneath my shoulders. And start with a spine that's parallel to the floor. And then as I inhale, I'm going to take my belly button, drip it to the floor, stick my tailbone and chin into the air and look up. And then as I exhale, I'm going to reverse that, curling inward, chin to chest, press the ground away, and reach my spine towards the ceiling as though it would reach through my shoulder blades and touch the sky. Inhale, drop your belly button, slide your shoulder blades down your back, look up. Exhale, curl in, chin to chest, press the ground away, tailbone points or tucks towards the floor. One more time. Inhale for cow pose. Exhale for cat. Again, moving through whatever range of motion is possible for you today, whatever range of motion is safe for you today. The last little nugget of advice or insight I can give is that if you are a back sleeper, it can be really beneficial we spend 6 to 8 hours in bed a night, and our bodies are not in a safe or comfortable position. We're spending 6 to 8 hours a day kind of working against ourselves. And so if you sleep on your back, taking a pillow or a rolled blanket under your knees before you go to bed positions your hips in such a way that they can kind of relax. Your low back is lengthened here. If I'm going to sleep like this, rather than without the bolster or pillow, and my pelvis is tilted, and the muscles in my lower back are shortened. So that works. Again, sometimes back sleepers are working against themselves without even knowing it. But that's something that you can do pretty simply to kind of alleviate that shortening over the course, over the night as you sleep. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My name is Meghan, and my email address is Meghan, Meghan, @projectrisefitness.com.